Hello guys, thank you for joining me for another video. This video has now been edited twice, re-edited once, if my maths is correct. Re-edited in terms of the voice that you hear, the voiceover. Reason being is that I had more of this video, but I deleted the original videos, which if you get the Ben Stiller Zoolander humor, those videos were in the cell phone. As people who know me personally will tell you, I'm incredibly tech retarded. And so when it comes to this kind of stuff, I don't know what's potting. But it's not just my own tech retardation. It's also, software and or hardware has its limitations at times. I use CapCut to make these videos, to put them all together. And I thought that if I deleted the original videos, that CapCut would keep what was transferred to CapCut as is, but that wasn't the case. So this is where this video begins. Anyway, I'm making a new side table for myself, a nightstand. As you can see, I'm using these white oak legs. And these legs come from an existing nightstand that I had next to my bed. It was one of the first tables I ever made. And I decided I needed a new nightstand, something a bit fancier. This build isn't overly complex. As you can see, I've put 75-degree miter cuts on the top and at the bottom of the legs for that kind of look, that kind of aesthetic. And the box or the shelf is made from kiaat. You could say it's a reclaimed kiaat. It was actually sitting outside for many years in my garden. They were basically just slats, if you will, that were sitting between cinder blocks to have as a bench. That's why I originally bought the kiaat. But I decided to get them face jointed and planed, and the wood is still in phenomenal shape. Looks absolutely great. I think the wood is pretty dry, so one could say it's quite thirsty. But the wood seems to be very stable. In really good shape. So I've used glue and 2 screws to mount the top of the legs to the bottom of the shelf. I think the screws are about 80 millimeter long. Initially, in terms of a finish, I was going to oil the shelf and then use a clear low gloss varnish. As it turns out, I have added quite a lot of oil to the varnish, so it's become a bit of a Danish oil. So I didn't pre-oil before doing the finish. I just applied that finish, and as you'll see in the end, it looks pretty good. I've also decided to not have a completely closed shelf. As you can see there, I have the 2 dowels, which I'm going to use as little vertical support beams. So I'm just drilling like a 3-4 millimeter shallow hole into the bottom shelf and then into the underside of the top shelf, which you can see is sitting on the right on my orange workbench. So the 2 dowels will be acting as vertical support beams, as I mentioned, to hold up the top shelf. So those 2 dowels and the side panel will be the support for the top shelf. As you can see, I'm doing a kind of not a dry fit, but I'm actually measuring where to drill. As it turns out, as you'll see at the end of the video, the top underside hole wasn't measured quite correctly, so the one vertical beam, the dowel, is slightly off at an angle, but the other one seems to be spot on. but it's all very structurally sound and so forth. So as you can see here, I am doing the varnishing / Danish oiling. Yeah, I wanted to keep a very natural look as much as possible. I really liked the way the kiaat looked, so I didn't want to darken it too much or make it too glossy. This is a very low gloss varnish. It's a clear varnish. But I think all things considered, by adding the oil and kind of making a Danish oil, it's worked out pretty well. As you'll see a bit later, I've only applied kind of one coat all over. I've done all the underside, so everything is sealed. I fed the end grain quite well. Yeah, as you can see, I think I'm still about to do the glue up. But the top, after varnishing, the very top shelf looked quite blotchy. Again, presumably, there was no wood conditioner or shellac put down first. So the wood absorbed the oil quite a lot and did it in different places. So it looked pretty blotchy. So I just did a second coat on the top and it made it look way better, a lot more kind of homogeneous and uniform. And yeah, you'll see that at the end. And now I suspect you're going to be hearing a good amount of silence for maybe a minute or two. So just enjoy watching, and then you will hear my voice again fairly shortly. Right, I'm back. This is officially glue time. Yeah, as you can see, drilled the holes on the bottom shelves and on the underside of the top shelf. Put some glue into those holes. Everything's fitting pretty snug. Just applying clamps to the butt joints. And as you will see, I'm going to put 3 dowels in, and that will make that joint good and solid. Anyway, a bit earlier when you saw me applying some varnish, that was just to the inside of the shelf, inside of the cavity, because obviously once I've put the top shelf on, it won't exactly be too difficult getting varnish in there, but I figured let me just put a coat on first and then do the glue up, and then if I need another coat of varnish, a second coat, then I can kind of just slap the brush around inside and that will be fine. But that's why you saw me doing the initial coat of varnish previously. Anyway, let's continue. Enjoy the silence, as Depeche Mode once said. I'm also just going to quickly mention that I'm using the varnish, as you see in the picture there, is made by a South African company called Colortone. I think the DIYers and the woodworkers will probably know their brand. And their varnish is pretty good stuff. Again, I'm not sponsored by them, not being paid by them, just mentioning their name. Perhaps in the future they'll sponsor me some cans of varnish or two. Okay, so at this point, the whole top is basically complete. Everything is done. I've actually varnished everything. Here I am just varnishing the bottom side just to make sure that everything is sealed. And yeah. Okay guys, and here you have the final product. I'm very happy with the outcome. I think it looks really good. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time. Goodbye. Right guys, this is the final product. I'm very happy with the outcome. Yeah, as you can see, the pot plant on the right shows you the reason why I left the top shelf open. Cheers guys, thanks for watching. Cool, so as mentioned before, this is where I'm butting the top of the legs against the protruding screw tips, and this will show me where I'm going to drill my pilot holes into the top of the legs. And before I do the final gluing and screwing, I'm just going to assemble everything together. I'm just going to do a dry fit just to make sure everything is in place and everything is stable and seems good. And then I'll take everything apart again and then add the glue and add the screws and so forth, and that will be that